Hey everybody, how's it going? Matt with Freestand here. We have a very special guest today, Maya, who started Maya Moves. She's already dancing already, so you might be able to figure out what we're going to talk about. But Maya, why don't you explain for everybody that doesn't know, what is Maya Moves, first off?
Sure. So thank you for having me. I'm
course.
glad to be here. Lucky to be here. Maya Moves, I started my business 3 years ago, and it kind of came with the idea of just me. I love teaching dance, and I wanted everyone to be able to love dance as much as I do, even though some classes can be really hard, and some people may think they have no rhythm, or when they go to a dance party at like a wedding,
That's
they
me.
freeze and they'd rather sit. Well, I would rather teach you, break it down, make you feel more comfortable. So my business now is basically a big umbrella of everything that I can do. I love teaching adults and I love teaching kids. So my day is kind of split between teaching kids and adults. I love giving people a custom private lesson. So I like to cater to if someone wants to improve their choreography, but they also want to build some strength. I do sculpt and dance. For kids these days, I'm teaching a lot of TikTok privates just to get them to do something new and not be at the computer all day, even though it's still over Zoom.
Yeah.
So, and then I love teaching wedding dances and flash mobs and really basically putting movement to anything for anyone to be able to follow it. So that's essentially what it is.
That's amazing. That's awesome. So wait, hold on. Let's go back because I know a little bit about your backstory.
Perfect.
So you've been dancing your entire life. I know
Yes.
After college you went out to Israel, right?
I sure did.
Let's talk. Yes. Well, just to give some background, Maya is my sister's best friend, so we know each other for a while.
I have driven you around.
Yes. Yes, this is true. We were in a carpool at one point.
We were. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Yes, I did study in Israel. So after I danced throughout college, and my next move, which is most people's next move, is to move to New York or LA and audition for various dance jobs. And so when I majored in dance, I kind of knew I was going to be building my own schedule because that's kind of just how dancers live. They do side jobs, waitress, and run around and teach here, teach there, and audition. So I kind of knew I was going to be building my own schedule, but what that meant as an entrepreneur, I had no idea. When I graduated, I felt like I wasn't ready for New York, even though I did spent so many hours in the studio. I just felt like my technique wasn't there. I just knew I wasn't ready. So I auditioned for a bunch of Israeli dance programs, Israel being a place where a lot of my family are from, so it's not too unfamiliar, but I wasn't able to go abroad during my college years because I transferred, so all of that was messed up. So I was like, this is my chance. I have no rush going to the city. So I studied for a full year with a company in Israel. It was supposed to only be 6 months for both Americans and Israelis. And after 6 months, the program starts over again. So I stayed again for another 6 months. And I think being abroad was like the best experience, especially after college when you're kind of a little lost.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this year made me the best dancer I've ever been. I never was confident. I never saw any technique that I put hours into. That year was really big for me, and just my confidence in dance and knowing that like I want to do this and I can make it happen.
Yeah.
Then I moved back home and lived at home for a full year, saved up all this money, and by doing that, I was teaching at every dance studio that I could get into. So I was teaching at, I think, 8 dance studios surrounding Connecticut, Westchester, anywhere I can get to within 30 minutes.
And you're just doing like private lessons, you're doing group classes, like everything?
Yeah, so during that, I was hired by all these studios just to teach. I mean, I was new, so for me, I was put with the 3-year-olds and taught like tiny tots or whatever. Mm-hmm. But I was teaching jazz, ballet, hip hop, tap, every style of dance. Just getting my foot in the door at all these dance studios. I used to always teach dance as like my side hustle when I was like in high school. I never worked at like any like real place besides a studio. I'd never worked like a waitress job or whatever. It was babysitting and teaching dance. So this was really natural to me and the best way for me to make money.
Gotcha. Very cool. Okay, so you're at home, you're teaching, and then you decided to move to New York City. You moved to New York. I know you were doing a lot of you started Maya Moves, right? Mm-hmm. And it was all like like physical in-person classes,
Yes.
right? You're doing that for how long? A year?
2 years.
2 years. Okay.
And it wasn't until the quarantine, Corona, that I made it full time, was able to make it full time for myself.
Gotcha. Okay. So yeah, that's what I was going to get into. So you're doing it in person for 2 years or however long.
Yep.
Coronavirus hits, your like regular plans are completely derailed, and then you bring your business online, right?
Yep.
So talk to me about that a little bit, what that was like.
So online for me really opened up so many doors. I have never worked like this before in my life. Basically, I used to run around because Maya Moves wasn't always my first and only job. I was always running around the city. So I would be teaching at a studio and then run back home, eat lunch, teach at another studio, then go back to my apartment and then teach at a private lesson through Maya Moves. So I was always hustling, running around the city. So the quarantine was really good for me because I really got to sit with, okay, what do I want to do with my day? Because now I'm at home and I can do so many things from home, luckily from Zoom. So I reached out to the clients that I'd already given private lessons to or made through Maya Moves, and I offered them Zoom lessons. And one mom came to me and was like, could you maybe do 30 minutes instead of an hour? Because the dance class is usually an hour. And I was like, absolutely, 30 minutes is like the sweet spot.
Yeah.
So that's what got me thinking. And I was like, you know what? Kids don't need a regular dance class right now, an hour long of warm up, learn the choreo, whatever. Kids now are trying to do it on Zoom. So that is so frustrating as a student and as a teacher. But as a student, I would have never picked it up through the computer. Like everything's backwards. You're not in the room with everyone. I would be so frustrated. So I wanted to make sure that the kids that were coming to me on Zoom were having the best time. And that didn't mean we always had to warm up, learn choreo, whatever. It's kind of a what do you want to do? What do you want me to help you with? And with that also came the timing of TikTok. So a lot of kids were booking me for a half an hour just to learn a couple of TikToks and just to get them moving because parents were really nervous about them just sitting at the screen all day.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Now.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
No,
I now offer 30-minute, 45, and an hour to all ages of kids and all adults, obviously. And that really gives people the flexibility to see what their kid really can do on Zoom and what they can accomplish in like 45 minutes versus an hour of kind of wasted time and all of that.
And how difficult is it to do on Zoom? Or are you learning? Like, is it becoming easier? Was it harder in the beginning?
It's definitely different every day. As we know, Zoom like has its own life anyway. So sometimes things don't work because not our control. But it was definitely really difficult at first. What was really hard for me was realizing that like it's the opposite for what they're seeing. So luckily we're not really performing. So if we were in a group and I was teaching a group dance and they're all worried about what arm goes next, I would really care. And I'd say, you guys, it's this hand. But we're on Zoom. I'm teaching them something for fun. Whatever they get is what they get. If they, of course, if it's more advanced choreography, I give them like specific things to think about. But that was the hardest part, is just being like backwards.
Yes. Okay. So I guess for everybody that's not a dancer, so usually if you're like an instructor, you're in front of everyone, right? And everyone's behind you watching, and now they're facing you.
Now they're mirroring me. Yeah. So I either say use your right, but that's my right, so I have to say use your left, or I just say do what you see. And I don't care what leg you're using. Kind of thing.
Okay.
Again, we're not like performing, so I don't really care.
Yeah. It's more of like, it's kind of for entertainment in a sense. It's like I'm going to lose some dance moves, and also I'm going to keep myself entertained and like stay fit.
Absolutely. That's what a big part about teaching virtually is like, not only am I a teacher, but I'm 100% like a clown, because I have to be the most energetic person they see that day, because if they get lost for a second, I'm not doing my job. I want them to be focused and not be on their computer dozing off. Like I don't want this to feel like school. So with that comes like no breaks.
Yeah,
and
this is like recess.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was actually selling it as in the beginning of pandemic. I was saying, sign up your kids for a virtual play date, sign up your kids for a recess break or a movement break, which is the same with adults. I would reach out to corporate companies and say, this time is really tough to be connected with everyone in your team. If you want to do like a 15 to 30 minute movement break in the middle of the day, I can do that for you. And a lot of people were doing that as well.
That's great. So how's that gone with corporate clients? Have you been able to work with any?
Yeah, I've been working with a bunch of corporate clients,
Oh,
some
that's awesome.
consistent, some just one-off times. Sometimes I work with corporate companies for them and their families. So I either teach a corporate class for them and their team, or I do like a Family Friday deal and I'll teach for both the kids and the parents to do together, which I love
Gotcha.
doing.
And are the corporate clients, are they turning their cameras on?
Some not, and that's
Okay.
okay. I know it can be uncomfortable. At first, it's so funny you say that. At first, when I was teaching fitness online, no one was putting their camera on, and I totally get it. Everyone's like a little uncomfortable showing their house, like
Yeah,
they
of
might be
course.
like right next to their cat, like whatever, and they're like rolling out of bed and doing it. But I think a lot of people more are showing their camera now because everyone's more comfortable.
Yeah, everyone's used to it, yeah. But in the
Yeah,
beginning, it was probably a little bit weird. And also, like, showing your house and stuff
definitely.
is super personal,
Yeah.
especially with a
Now,
group that's not, personal,
my friends,
just, yeah,
yeah,
exactly. It's not your
it
friends.
was weird.
Yeah,
It was definitely weird.
yeah, because Andrew was he was working with some corporate clients too. And I remember I walked
Exactly.
in on a class and I like looked and like half of the screens were off, or even more, I think.
Yeah, and then you're really just like talking to no one. I've
Yeah.
also taught, it's interesting you say that. I've also taught a bunch of like specialty classes for corporate companies and other companies where it's not on Zoom and it's on like a different format where I don't see the people. So I have to kind of like pretend that I'm seeing them. It's still live, so it's not fake completely.
Mhm.
But it's really, really not as fun when you can't see the people or get the reactions because you're like, good job, but you like
Yeah.
have no idea what they're doing. Or like, it's really funny. It's totally a different part of my job that I like.
I can't even imagine. Like that's like impossible to
That's like
obviously.
I'm a clown. Yeah.
Yeah. They're literally just like watching you. They could be doing nothing.
Yeah, and again with that type of class, like I can't stop for a second because they're
Sure.
watching me live, and if they get bored, they're gonna log off. So
Sure.
yeah.
But it's interesting because it does work in a way. Like it's obviously like different. Like there's tons of components of like regular
Totally.
dance that you can't do, but it is kind of like this new, different way for people to get entertainment. So it's almost like
Yeah.
you're like a
I'm an
channel
entertainer.
almost. Yeah,
Yeah,
you're like an
exactly.
entertainer. You're like a part
Yeah.
dancer, instructor, entertainer. Like you're an online
Yeah,
creator.
exactly.
It's
Exactly.
true.
Yeah, that's the whole other side of my business, the online part that
Yeah.
I teach myself.
Okay, let's talk about that then.
Okay.
Let's talk about, because Maya's very active on social media. She's on TikTok. She's on Instagram all the time. Let's talk about that. I know you went viral last year, right?
Thank you. Yeah,
Yes,
I
she went
did.
viral.
I
Talk about
did.
this.
I went viral on TikTok. So, first with Instagram, when I started my business, Maya Moves, it was kind of just an idea to. I touched something. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yep, you're
So
good.
when I first started Maya Moves, it was first just an idea to start a new Instagram page for myself because at that time Instagram was really booming in a way that like you could book a job for a dance gig or anything that just by someone seeing your video on Instagram. Lucky chance. So I was like, all right, I need another Instagram. I have no dance on this personal account. So my name for that was going to be Maya Moves. I had no idea that it was like a brand name. I was like, oh, it's just like me moving. And then I had nothing to post because I usually, this is funny to say, but I like not want to usually film myself dancing before this. So I had no material to post. I had no idea what I was going to post. So I was with my friends one night and I taught them a dance because that's just what I do for fun. And they were like, oh, this is something you should post. And then that's kind of what sparked it. So I was like, oh, I'm going to teach a fun, easy dance class for people my age as a way to like keep moving. For people that used to dance, people that want to get better, I'm the person to teach them. So with that came kind of teaching myself how to use Instagram as like a business. And honestly, it's easier than you think because I'm such a consumer on Instagram that if you just kind of picture yourself in that position, it kind of comes naturally. You want to reach out to a lot of people, you use your hashtags, you want to build your following, you collaborate with others because that's how you see people growing.
Yeah.
So a lot of what I know from Instagram is self-taught, but a lot of it I've taken a couple courses and a couple of just workshops just to like really understand it. But as of now, Instagram is so unpredictable that as many tools and rules as there are to things, I almost just like whoever sees it, and I'm happy with it. It used to be about like, let me get how many views I can get. But now I'm just more of like, let me entertain the people that want to see it.
Yeah. I think that's a good, no, I think that's a good point. I think kind of just like being yourself, and just kind of like doing what you want. I think that'll it'll materialize with the right people.
Totally.
And like for those that it doesn't, it doesn't.
Yeah, and realistically, I want an audience or people that really do want to see what I'm posting, and not just people that like I just for the number of having more followers. And so I really would rather just have people that want to engage with my stuff than a random high number.
It's better to have 1,000 good fans than 10,000 bad.
Exactly. And at the bottom line, like I'm one person running this whole business. I don't want this necessarily to explode overnight because I wouldn't be able to handle it. So as much as everyone strives to go viral, and of course, like I want more people to see what I put out there, I don't want to blow up overnight like a lot of people have.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, I don't know what would happen.
That's funny. It's actually, that's what, when I was talking to Mike and Olivia, they said the exact same thing.
Because I think we want to be able to sustain what we're doing. And
of course.
And
grow at a normal pace. Yeah. Eventually, I mean, I think that's the beauty of like this new generation of small businesses in general.
Totally.
Is like back in the day when things were in like a physical format, you could expand, but it was like really difficult to expand just because of physical assets and stuff just being super heavy and expensive. Now there's a lot of kind of these small digital businesses, which are all small, but they all have the opportunity to get bigger. And that's something that I've been like trying to emphasize is like, yes, they're small, and like that doesn't mean that they're not going to get bigger. They actually like now more than ever, there's like a platform for
better
them.
Chance.
Yep.
And there's just everything, with everything being virtual, I can reach people in Florida, in California, that would never be able to make it to New York City in my class. So this definitely opened up a lot of doors for where my business can go. I don't think the online business of anything is going to die out. I think it really works for some people. I think a lot of people notice that, putting 20 to 30 minutes of their day of movement, rolling out of bed and just doing something fast to like get a quick sweat or feel good is kind of all you need. You don't need to drag yourself to a studio, pay $45, shower there, run back home. It was such
it's a lot of time
for people. Yeah.
It's a lot of time.
So I think people will continue this hybrid model of like keeping their subscriptions to their online people, doing their quick workouts at home, but then of course taking the advantage of like on a Saturday, go and take your bike cycling class because you don't have a bike at home or something. Yeah,
definitely. No, it's going in person is definitely a time suck. Not that it's bad. It's also good to get out of your house. But you're totally right.
Something that I noticed too is that like when I was teaching classes and hosting them in the city, there were a lot of factors that were keeping people away from coming to my class. One was the location, where they're coming from, could they make it on time? Two is the payment, of course. Do I want to pay for that type of class? And my class especially is really uncomfortable for most people. I have to like convince people to be like, I promise I'll make you have fun. This is a dance class. This is not about like losing yourself and being frustrated. So that in itself took a lot of effort to convince people to really physically get there. And now with virtual, I'll tell them sign up and they can be in the comfort of their own home. They can turn their camera off, but they're in my class. So it's like really, it's great. I think it's great.
Yeah, no, definitely. That's really interesting. It's literally actually the camera off thing is good. No, seriously, because people like that are just uncomfortable that would never go to your class would actually do it now.
Exactly.
Very cool.
It's opened me up.
So in terms of moving forward into the future, let's say this is like 6 months down the line, probably a little bit more. Let's say it's like 10 months down the line and things are starting to get back to normal. Maybe dance studios open back up and things are normal. What does Maya Moves look like? What is your plan in terms of the online piece of the business and what it normally was?
So ideally, my goal schedule for 6 to 1 year, month to 1 year goal right now would be to keep this type of schedule where I have this slow morning and then leave my apartment to teach in the afternoon in person. So in that morning, maybe I'll record a video for the people that are subscribing to me online. I do some type of work like that. Maybe morning fitness classes will stay virtual. We don't really know. But I would prefer to keep my morning slow and steady and being at home, being able to organize myself, and then going out for the afternoon. And if that means running around the city, go for it. But at least it's not the whole day, because I used to run around the whole day.
Gotcha. Okay. So you're going to kind of embrace this hybrid in-person, online model. Very
definitely.
cool.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, I was thinking is you could probably, I don't know what your thoughts are. You probably thought about this, but you could probably do like your in-person classes and then film the in-person classes as well live.
Definitely. There's going to be a lot of trial and error, because it's really what people want in a year or 6 months from now. So I don't think anyone knows what they want. I assume right now that people will want both, but will they take a live class with people in the class from home, or will they just go to a live class?
Yeah.
So I think a lot of like, I'm going to focus on making smaller videos, small things for people to do on their own time. Yes, I'll teach live classes because there's still such a good energy you get by doing it live, but I'm going to focus on making smaller things so that people can put it in wherever they want in their day.
Right.
And then of course I'll teach in-person things, and that will just be an experience in itself.
Okay. No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
In terms of charging for in-person classes, is it more expensive than what you do virtually?
Yeah, that's actually what I'm going through right now, trying to figure out my pricing plan, because I have a price set right now for virtual, but I can't really charge that same price now that I'm going to be commuting, and the fact that not everyone is teaching in person. So I don't, there is like a bigger demand for it. And also I won't have, right now I have a lot of time slots available during my week, because I can sit here and book 3 in a row and have like a minute in between to take a sip of water. In person, I have to commute, make sure I'm one to get there, at least a half an hour early. So like I need that to work for me. And I don't want to stress myself out running around. So I can really only fit about 2 to 3 in-person classes a day, which is a lot less than what I was doing before. So you're gonna have to charge.
You're probably gonna have to charge more for in person.
I'm gonna have to charge more, and also I am giving people a different experience than they would go to a studio. I'm giving people the ability to design their own class. So if I see a lot of group classes during the week of kids that are obviously on Zoom but go to school together or whatever, but I want to make sure that they're having a really good time. Whereas if they were in a studio, they'd still be learning, hip hop, jazz, whatever, but they're not like with their closest friends, or like, I just want to give them a different experience. And also with private lessons, as they've always been, it's about setting goals and making sure that that teacher is helping you privately with it. So you're getting a different experience than a group class, because you've told me your goals. I want to improve on X, Y, and Z. I'm going to get you there, and it's just me and you. So
yeah.
Totally different.
Okay. I'm just looking through these questions. Yeah. I cut this stuff out.
Yeah.
Okay. So what is your favorite and least favorite part about being a business owner?
This is a good question.
Yeah, this is a tough question.
I have a long list of books. So my favorite part is definitely being able to design my own schedule. But my least favorite part is being able to design my own schedule. Because while I obviously wake up having no one really telling me what to do, I also don't know when to stop, and don't know how much work I've done that day is enough. So because I decide that.
Oh,
so
I think
that's definitely it.
that one, yeah, that's actually a really good one, and a good thing to talk about. It's like when you're working on your own business, it's like you are your own judge. You don't like have somebody else who's judging you. So I feel like you really just have no limits in terms of like the amount of work, and like every day you're kind of like, I didn't do enough. Like I need to do a couple more.
Every single day I feel that way. And
I need to push myself, and like you're like on the next thing you know, it's like 11 at night, you're on your computer, your eyes are blurry.
Yeah, you're your only gears. So like if with me, I physically teach about like 3 or 4 hours a day. And what I do in between is up to me, but like I'm the only person that's going to get these things done. So like, creating content for TikTok, creating content for Instagram, while all of that looks really fun, it's not always that fun because it is work. So
no, it's tiring too.
And forcing that creativity is like pretty tough on me. And also on the in-between, I don't necessarily want to get up and dance more and report it, but
yeah.
I do
I was gonna say, especially somebody like doing dance, like you're doing like 3-4 classes a day or however many, maybe more. And then you're just switching gears from running around to hopping on the computer, calming down, bringing it all together, like changing your mindset completely, like thinking of good content to make.
Thinking ahead is the toughest thing too, because a lot of content creators and people on Instagram like to plan ahead because that makes sense. You don't just post whatever you want that day. But like, I don't really necessarily have the time or the skills to like really plan out, like, what do my people want to see, whatever.
Yeah.
Something I do like about my business versus like someone who's just like an influencer on Instagram is that like, I really have never asked, what do you want to see from me? You know how a lot of influencers say like, all right, guys, what do you want to see me do? And while like, I totally understand the good thing about asking that question, because then you're really producing what they want to see. This Instagram is for me and also to showcase what I do. Obviously, I want to know what does well, but my analytics tells me what does well. I don't want to say like, what do you guys want to see from me? Because like know what I want to give you.
You're a teacher. You're like, you don't know what you need. Let me tell you.
Exactly. I was like, let me show you.
Yeah. It's like, I mean, to an extent, it's like, I want to learn how to like,
the
break dance. I want to learn how to like do jazz. I want to do break dance. Okay, thanks for telling me that. Now let me show you how to do it. Like,
right, or like different. Sign up for a private lesson. Yeah.
Sure. If you were telling them, it would be the opposite role. It wouldn't make any sense. Or sorry, if they were telling you.
Totally. I also think my current biggest struggle as an entrepreneur is measuring success, because again, with numbers, you get down on yourself if like, oh, I only got 150 likes, but that's really successful. If you had 150 people in person, that would feel huge. And it's really hard when you have that competing factor of going viral or making everyone see it, when like you just want to post and do your job. Also, I've written down goals for myself and maybe I've reached them, but you don't feel like you've reached them. It's like really a frustrating feeling because you're working so hard and then you're like, for what? But I don't know. It's a tough back and forth.
And it's definitely hard to measure success with those things, especially. Yeah.
Especially when no one is telling you, you did that right, you did that wrong, or whatever.
Or you did that right, but for some reason, like, it didn't get as much engagement as it should have or whatever.
Totally.
Especially when you're by yourself. That can be tough.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is, and I spoke about this with Olivia and Mike, is it always, especially now on like Instagram and TikTok with all these people like going viral, and like being a creator, it looks like everybody's killing it because the people that you see are the people that are kind of killing it. Everybody, that's like the minute like 0.005%. And that's just like, it can happen, but not everybody's doing it. And I feel like most people, like when they see that, they're just like, damn, like, what am I doing wrong? Like, you're not doing anything wrong. You just need to be more patient and just not everybody just grows like that.
Totally. Like you said, I went viral last year on TikTok. Meant nothing. I still have under 10K on TikTok. I still have under 10K on Instagram. It's flattering. I'm glad, but I have no idea how I did it. And it was just like the luck of the draw. But I'm glad.
What was the TikTok?
So the TikTok was around the Super Bowl, and it was when Charli D'Amelio did like it was her in rehearsal with J-Lo. And I had seen someone do this. They did like a green screen effect and put themselves in between both J-Lo and Charli. So I did that. And I think because of the timing of it being around Super Bowl and Charli booming at that point with the hashtags and everything, I spiked. I got like 300K views overnight. And it was like every second I'd refresh and I'd have 10K. That's insane. So cool. It was so cool. But I'm so glad that's not my everyday, because like I could not get off my phone.
Oh yeah. Well, that's what happens. You become addicted. It's like a drug.
Yeah.
It's like this just dopamine hit every time you see one.
Totally. And now I'm like honestly really grateful, because of course that night I was like, my life's gonna change. Like I'm viral now. But like obviously now
I'm famous. Let's go.
Yeah, I was like, oh my God, I'm nervous I'm famous. But like I'm not, because that's how it works. And I've honestly learned that like TikTok is such a like a luck of the draw, that it's not like that makes me work harder. It just makes me like do what I do. And if someone goes viral, great.
It's all about staying calm, keeping your emotions in check.
Yeah.
If you can just go down this rabbit hole of just like every 2 seconds, like checking Instagram, following people, like.
Which, don't get me wrong, I do, but yeah.
It's a marathon, not a sprint. You just gotta.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Last and final question.
Mm-hmm.
Recommendations for somebody looking to start a business, maybe specifically an online fitness or dance business, but it could be any business in general.
Yeah, so I actually do help a lot of people in this space kind of jumpstart their business. And some of the biggest advice that I give is first, just build your community. Community is everything now. Obviously, like I said, you don't want 10K random followers. You want 3K of the people that really value you. So when people think they have to grow their following, they get really nervous. And one of my biggest things, 2 big tips is, one, use who you know. So like, you obviously are how old, you've been to how many things, camps, intensives, whatever, family vacations, you met a family, whatever. You have so many contacts already, use them. And if it's something that you don't think they'll know or they'll do, they know someone that they can pass it along to, and they know you and trust you and know that you're gonna, give a good product. So my biggest thing was using who I knew. My first year teaching classes in person, most of the room was filled with, like 90% of the room was filled with my friends and friends of friends and people that I was like, oh, I remember you used to dance with me and 13 years old. Like, you live in New York City, come to my class. So it's really like, reach out to your alumni groups, reach out to your everything, your family, tell them, hey, I'm starting this new thing. I'm really excited about it. If you're not interested, that's fine. Can you pass it along to someone else? Because that in itself really grows really big.
Absolutely.
And really builds a true following, because these are the people that really know you well.
Yeah.
Another big thing about growing your following is collaborating. And that means like reaching out to a bunch of people that you want to work with and just cold DMing them, basically. That's what I spent my first year doing. While I was teaching classes in the city, I reached out to a bunch of influencers just to give them free classes, free privates, anything, because just by them posting on their story, that many people saw my name that day. And it doesn't matter if like one person turned into a client, that one person wouldn't have known me like a week ago.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and they're a paying client now. So like anything, and also because my business caters to so many people, that's what I kind of have to do, is that I have to go and make sure that your parents know what I'm doing, because your parents might need me. I'm not just for kids, I'm not just for adults. Like your brother, I did his wedding dance, and that was such a great way of showing what I can do to like that age group, or like, you know.
Even just getting like a one-off example, like you do like your first wedding, and you're like, wow, I did that. It kind of just came out of like a personal connection. I'm like, I definitely can now post this video and like replicate this for tons of people.
Exactly.
And I think it's cool how like, as you do these like little like one-off things, you're like, holy shit, like that worked. I can do that for somebody else. And I didn't even think about it before. And this can be a whole nother piece of my business that I didn't even
imagine. And I still struggle right now with like really telling everyone what I do and what Maya Moves is, because it's such a big like umbrella of skills that I have. Not going to say like I have so many skills, but I really can.
Well, dance is just so broad. Yeah.
Exactly. So like I really can make it work for any age group. I love teaching senior citizens. My grandparents love to get them moving. It's good for them.
That's got to be awesome.
Like, so I really can cater it. Like I said, custom private lessons are really great because I can do whatever you guys need and want. But yeah, I think for people starting out, it's really, don't panic and think I need to grow my following. I need to reach out to 1,000 people. Use what you know, use who you know, and it will grow organically from there.
Yeah. Okay. So quality of audience, make sure you reach out to friends and family. Definitely. Could not agree more with that.
Collaborate. Like, host a class with a friend. You do 15 minutes, the other person does 15 minutes. You now have their people and they have yours. So you both benefit. You both gave a free class, but you both just got some followers. And
also don't be afraid to just like ask. One, ask for
Yeah.
advice. And
Oh my
two,
God.
like for instance, like something like this, like say you were starting off, like reach out to Maya, like DM her and she'll
Yeah.
talk to you. You know,
I will not ignore you.
you'll be really surprised at how many people like want to help. One, because it makes
Totally.
them feel like, oh, like I can help you out. Like I've been there.
Yeah.
Like this is
Yeah,
cool.
it makes me feel like I did something right.
Yeah.
So that's good.
But it's super important to reach out to people who have been there and done it, because like you'll just save so much time because they've already done
Totally.
it. You know what I mean?
Totally.
And then also in terms of just reaching out to your family and friends, this one is so key with like
Totally.
any business. Like just
Exactly.
there's a network around you. You just don't really see it. And
Exactly.
everybody is connected to everyone. Everyone's got a friend. Everyone's got a brother
Totally.
who like used to do this, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, oh, my sister would be into dance. Like, oh, great. Like, and your sister's
Exactly.
friend, like everything's just connected, and like you'll just
Totally.
yeah.
And it makes you feel more calm knowing that those people are passing along your name that really know you well, and not like, oh, I heard about this teacher, you might be interested. It's more like, Maya just reached out to me and I don't really want to do this, but like I know my niece would, and then just forward it.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
Very cool. Alrighty.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, of
so
course.
Fun.
This is an awesome interview. Maya is a great example of taking a business that used to be physical and making it completely virtual.
Totally.
So I hope you guys learned something. Maya
Dance
from Maya
with me.
Moves. Dance with her. I'll put like links to all of her stuff and
Yes.
her usernames and stuff in this. So
Yay.
very cool.
Thanks, Matt.
Yes.
Thanks for having me.
Yep, you got it. All right, Maya.
Bye.
Peace. Hey, everybody. Hope you enjoyed that one. Maya from Maya Moves is a great example of a business that went from being completely physical and in person to completely virtual. And although she, was forced into this because of the pandemic, it kind of, and just like a lot of other fitness professionals, they were forced to change their businesses into essentially virtual copies of what they were doing before in like a matter of weeks. And here we are a year later, and I'm talking to Maya, and she's saying that she's going to continue doing this. And she's kind of going to create a hybrid model where she's going to do some in-person classes, but she's also going to keep this virtual component. So that just goes to show that something like dance, which you never, ever thought could be done over video conference, virtually, not being there in person, is actually happening. So just really, really cool stuff, and I hope you guys enjoyed that one. Let me know what you think in the comments, and hit the subscribe button if you enjoyed it. Thanks.